Okay, so I've got Tusk off leash in my backyard right now. This video is going to be entirely about focusing on the e-collar. So I've got my speaker box paired up to the remote. I usually start him on a 3 on the e-collar, and I'm just going to do all my basic commands in the backyard with him off leash. So he's right underneath the camera right now. Just waiting for him to calm down for a second. Let's go, bud. So you'll notice every time I give him a command, I layer the e-collar over the top of it. So these two things are always paired with each other. Good job, buddy. Good job, bud. So let's go. I'm just going to go over the commands real quick. Let's go. I do it like when I release them out of a command, whether it's coming out of their crate, coming off a place, coming out of a sit. I usually say, let's go. Turning to turn them on a walk, I say let's go. So turns represent let's go. And then like if I'm doing off-leash stuff, off-leash hiking, off-leash backyard work, let's go. Usually also it really in general, even releasing them off of things, releasing them out of commands, it really means follow me in my direction is what the dog learns. So I'm not asking for a perfect heel when I say let's go. Now if I say here, which you probably say heel, and I don't care if you interchange them because dogs seem to respond to it the same way. Here or heel means you need to get into this walking position. He kind of naturally takes that position when I walk with him anyway. That's kind of his go-to. So let's go. Here, place is the place board. It means stay. Sit down. You guys already know those. And then when I say Tusk, come, that is a recall, and when I do recall, I want 100% commitment. So I'm actually going to ask him to come and sit next to me, whether that's in front of me, or I might say, Tusk, come, and then here, which is getting into that here position, or the heel position. So then we have leave it, which means leave it alone, and out, which means drop it from your mouth. And then my release word is go ahead. So when I'm ready for him to be free, I say go ahead. Or I also say go potty, and those things are interchanged depending on what we're doing. But basically, the whole idea is that I can send him out to be free when I need him to be or when I want him to be. do pair the words together. I do pair Tusk come with the e-collar, but I don't turn the e-collar off until I can tell the dog is committed to coming to me. So I'm not super sure you can see that entirely in the video because there's only so much of an angle in my backyard, but basically that continuous sound you heard on the e-collar was me basically going, hey Tusk, come, and I'm not going to stop until you, at least I need to see that he's headed in my general direction, right? I need to see that the head of the dog is starting to come towards me in order for me to turn the e-collar off. So whenever I'm giving any command, the e-collar won't turn off until I get commitment. I don't need to hold it on until the dog comes all the way back to me. I just need to see that the dog is committed to coming back to me, or committed to going into a here, or committed to going into a sit, or committed to going towards place, right? And then if they blow anything off in between that, like for instance, let's say I say Tusk come, and he starts to come this way, but then decides to veer off, I would turn my e-collar back on until I saw him start to square off and come back towards me again. So hopefully that makes sense. Most of my clients, I'll not say most, it's been hard for me to convince my clients that the dog has not learned this in a negative and punitive way. So every time I go to follow-ups and I pair my speaker up, I hear this beep, and that's it. No matter what, beep, beep. That's not how I train the dog. What I train the dog to understand is that this tingling sensation, this mild tingling sensation, will not turn off until the dog's turned their selective listening off and has decided to commit to the handler's command. That's what the dogs learn here, and that's the only way that this e-collar is going to be effective. So what, if you're going to get on board with this, if you say Tusk come, you have to hold the button down until you see he's committed. If you say Tusk leave it because he's staring at a dog, you need to hold the e-collar down until he commits and actually, let's say I'm Tusk, I'm on a walk, oh my God, there's a dog, and the handler says leave it. You want to see the head leave it before you turn the e-collar off. And if that head decides to go, but I don't want to leave it, I would ding it again until they left it. So that's the e-collar use. Now, one more thing, Tusk is on a 3, but I went up to a 5 in order to get him to come to me. So I usually go 1, 2, I'm not getting a response, I go up to 4, I count 1, 2, I don't get a response, I go up to 5, 1, 2. He's a real sensitive dog, so his numbers are low. The only time his numbers have ever been really high is when he's genuinely startled by something, and then he goes up into the 30s. But other than that, this dog's numbers are very low. So it might feel weird to go up on the collar, but by going up one number at a time, or even straight to your boost, is going to get that response that you need. So I like to think about the e-collar as the barometer for the brain, in that the reason why Tusk didn't respond to the 3, he responded to the 3 in every other situation that we've had in this video so far, but he needed a 5 when I said Tusk come, is because he was smelling another dog's urine. So he was very into it. So the more intense the dog's brain is, the higher the e-collar will naturally become. Now I want to break this down for you so that you can understand why. Let's say hypothetically you're at a sporting event, it's an outdoor sporting event, and the score is close, things are exciting, you're coming to the end, and you're just completely focused. And this entire time there's been a fly that's been buzzing around you, but your focus is on the game, so you don't notice the fly. But then the fly, it's a horse fly, and it lands on you and it bites you. All of a sudden, ow! What the heck? You got the game on now, but you're very aware of the fly, right? So that's an example of when our brains become hyper-focused on something, we're capable of tuning a lot of things out. This is a low stimulation collar, it's a 3 on his working number. So for someone who, like Eric's a 3, but for someone who's got 20 on their hand can understand that 3 is very low, and he's a very big dog. So when his intensity rises about something, going up on the e-collar doesn't have anything to do with shocking him per se. It has more to do with the fact that you have to create a touch that resonates with him so he can feel it when he's at a higher level of intensity. And what you probably couldn't see in the video is that at a 5, it looked no different than a 3. So it's not really about going up until you shock them. It's about going up until you get the response. And the way the brain works, just like at that sporting event, is that it's kind of an ongoing dial, because his intensity is going to change as the stimulus and the environment changes. So it's important for us to not only be willing to hold the button down until we see that the dog is tuning in with the handler, but also to match the intensity of the brain with the number on the remote screen, and not be hesitant to do whatever that takes in order to communicate with the dog, so that way Tusk doesn't learn that he can be a selective listener when there's certain forms of stimulation present. All right, now that I got that spiel out, I'm going to do some more reps. Hey, come. Good. Here. That was a 5. Here. So one of the things I taught Tusk is that when he breaks place, the e-collar stimulation is going to turn on until he gets back on. So this is one of the ways that you can maintain place at home without having to keep him on a leash. When you're trying to train with him and you're supervising him and he decides that he wants to get off for some reason, you're going to turn your e-collar on and say place until he gets back on. Now the same rules apply in every scenario. If the e-collar's not high enough, you're not going to see him get back on place. So a 3 might not be something that he feels when he's breaking place. That might not be a strong enough number, so you might have to go up a little bit just to encourage that he get back on place. I'm going to challenge him a little bit on place. Great job, buddy. Great job. So, obviously, again, I got the stay. He's got a little bit excited about it, but he knows to stay, so that's great. This is super helpful when he's a very impulsive dog, right? He's always, everything's kind of getting him to move forward. Prey animals, cats, rabbits, chickens, dogs, people, bikes. I've only seen him like kind of get interested in a bike once though, so that's a mild stimulus. But and then in the house, you know, doors opening, doors closing, people getting up, moving around the house. These are all things that have him impulsively getting up and kind of moving forward towards the stimulus. So when you're trying to break a dog from reactivity, if you're trying to get a dog to stop acting aggressively and moving forward when they're in that state of mind, this is one of the great ways to teach them, even when the energy picks up, you still need to stay. And if you don't teach a dog how to control their impulses inside the house, in the backyard, in the front yard, in the basic areas of their life, it eventually doesn't translate outside the home. So this is important, both inside and outside the home, that he can control his impulses. So you can use this technique to get him to stop following you around the house, I don't know if he's kind of pesters you while you're cooking or while you're eating dinner, but those things need to stop. We can use place. I'm doing it right now inside my house to teach him that the doorbell isn't a big fucking deal. He doesn't care at all if I knock on any of my doors, but if I set the doorbell off, he cares. So I'm teaching him right now. Don't be concerned about the doorbell. You know, there's 100 different things that we can do to teach him to control his impulses. And this is kind of one example of me trying to create, one, distance by going around the yard, and two, a distraction by really picking up my energy and kind of acting like an idiot, just to really challenge him to stay. Now, I'm not moving forward in my challenges because the hyperactivity that I shared with him has now made it very hard for him to calm down. This is what you're seeing right now. It's mild compared to when he first got here, but the fact that he can't sit or down on his own after bursting up like that, I'm just trying to let him kind of soothe himself right now before I start to challenge him or even release him from place again. I think I'm going to send you a video on what I refer to as trigger training. I only have 2.5 more days with this guy, and I have a lot of things I have to accomplish with other dogs that are here, so I'm going to basically be able to do about 2 or 3 more videos for you, and that's all I've got time for. So I might send you a video of another dog that I've made for a client that goes over trigger training on place. It's very similar to what we're doing right now, but it goes into way more explanation than I have time to go into today. And that way, even though it's not Tusk, you have it as a reference point for how to start working on him inside your house more in depth. He's itchy. He needs to be groomed. We're working on it. We're grooming him today, tomorrow, and Thursday before he comes home, but he's just itchy and ready for a bath. Good job, bud. Here. It. It's just real. I'm really glad I did that. I was really hoping I could catch it on camera again, because when I see that, he's telling me he's not sure. That is a sign of uncertainty. So what I do when I see him lift his paw is I sit and wait until he puts it down before I move forward. That gives him the indication that I understand that he's not sure, so I'm going to listen to him and wait until he gains a little more confidence before I move forward with the activity. It doesn't mean he has anything in his paw. They would lick it or chew it if that became a big enough problem to where they felt like it was escalating. This is something I see him do a lot in training, especially with more stimulation. So if you notice it at all, just understand, like, you can't soothe it per se, it won't help him, but you can just wait him out until he puts that foot down, and then that's going to give him more confidence moving forward because we're not moving him at the very moment he's unsure. You're doing freaking awesome, buddy. This is a real weird position he puts himself in. He tucks his feet under and goes up on his hunches like that. Bubs. Let's go. Please. Good boy. Good boy. So, this is the last thing I'm going to go over in the video, and you know, this dog does not like to go out very much. What I mean by that is sending him out to go do his own thing. He just prefers to stay close to his handler, so I feel like we're not getting super great examples of how to use the e-collar, but you've seen some, and it's enough information to hopefully help you move forward faster. But one of the things I want you to notice in this video is how much he respects my personal space now. He's not even when he jumps up when I run, he doesn't touch me. He doesn't motorboat me with his hand. He doesn't lick me. He's not trying to cut me off physically. He's not body slamming me. These are all things that he did when I came in, or when he came in for training. So I really need to maintain a level of personal respect for my personal space if I want to get further with the dog. So what you're seeing right now is something Tusk is very capable of, which is respecting someone's personal space. And a lot of people don't want that in their dog. They like when dogs bombard their personal space, but in your circumstances, this is not safe. And what he's potentially capable of doing on a leash is dangerous for everyone involved. So it's important that he does have respect for your personal space, because that gives you much greater access to prevent unwanted behavior if he has more respect for you. And so by doing that, you basically, you notice I've also pet him several times this session, so it's not like you're going to be withholding love from him. It's just a matter of asking that he stay out of your bubble, and that he doesn't come into that bubble unless he's been invited by you. Not because he's asked for permission, but because you have given him permission. And by being consistent about that, Tusk will not only learn to respect your space, but you won't find him jumping on anyone, running into you, tripping you, pulling on the leash, pulling you towards things. You know, there's just a whole list of things that are fixed by the handler controlling their personal space and being adamant and consistent about doing that. So I'm going to do one more lap so you can see that. Let's go back. Are so cute. So, like when he first came here, he would he not only did he not have any concept of personal space, but he was so distracted by everything in the environment, by being concerned by everything in the environment, that there was some unawareness that went into this. Like he didn't even realize he was slamming into me some of the time. So he's already to a point right now where his ability to focus on a handler is so much better because we've heightened his pack drive. So now he's very much aware of me, where I'm at in terms of him and my personal space. So you have an advantage going into this. If you claim your personal space, he's going to be able to show you immediate respect. You're probably going to have to stay on it for a while because he's not used to you doing that. But if you can stay on it, you know, you're going to notice a dog that's better than you even imagined, just by doing this one concept, just by claiming your personal space. It would resolve most issues people see with their dogs, especially little dogs, but all dogs, comes down to the personal space thing. So something to keep in mind. If you have any questions about any of this, please feel free to write it down and ask me at the Go Home on Thursday. I do think this tool is extremely important, so I'm hoping that everyone in the family can maybe watch this video and even some of the other ones that I've made and start really putting it together, and also really witnessing, you know, we're in a situation in this yard where there's not any stimulus going on, so you can totally tell that the e-collar is not making his head go. At the park with that other video, that's what was happening. It wasn't the e-collar. He was frantic from being overstimulated. So hopefully in this video you can really see how the e-collar is just a form of communication. I've conditioned him to understand that the feeling is coming from the handler and it's going to have a positive outcome. Because this tool is going to get you where you need to be faster, and it's going to be the tool that clears up any confusion that Tusk might have in your communication with him. So I hope you liked, and I will be sending you another video probably tomorrow.